It's a saying they have, that a man has a false heart in his mouth for the world to see, another in his breast to show to his special friends and his family, and the real one, the true one, the secret one, which is never known to anyone except to himself alone, hidden only God knows where. Shogun by James Clavell, Part 2 of 2. Book 4. Blackthorne invites his assigned consort Fujiko to join him. She gracefully accepted, kneeling beside him and pouring him another cup of tea. As they talked, Blackthorne learned that Fujiko had been told to care for him during his stay in Yedo. He was pleased by this news, enjoying her company and the comfort she brought. However, their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Mariko. Blackthorne, caught off guard, awkwardly introduced the two women. Mariko, though surprised, maintained her composure and greeted Fujiko politely. A tense atmosphere settled over the room as the three of them sat together, sipping their tea in silence. Blackthorne, sensing the unspoken tension, attempted to lighten the mood by asking Mariko about her meeting with Toranaga. Mariko, choosing her words carefully, revealed that she had been ordered to prepare for Toranaga's arrival in Osaka. She also shared that Buntaro would be accompanying Toranaga as his second, and that he had requested permission to take Blackthorne's head. Blackthorne was shocked by this news, but Mariko quickly reassured him that Toranaga had denied Buntaro's request, at least for the time being. She explained that Toranaga needed Blackthorne's skills and knowledge to counter Ishido's forces. Fujiko, listening intently, remained silent, her expression unreadable. Blackthorne, sensing her unease, attempted to reassure her as well, explaining that he had no intention of leaving Toranaga's service and that he was confident he could protect himself from Buntaro. As the afternoon wore on, Mariko and Fujiko excused themselves, leaving Blackthorne to his own thoughts. He was troubled by Buntaro's threat and the precariousness of his situation. He knew that he had to tread carefully and play his cards right to survive. He spent the rest of the day studying his dictionary and practicing his Japanese. He also began to formulate a plan, hoping to use his knowledge and skills to bargain for his freedom and the lives of his men. He knew that he had to win Toranaga's favor and secure his support. As dusk approached, Blackthorne made his way to the forecourt, where Mariko was waiting for him. They greeted each other formally, but Blackthorne could sense a new distance between them. He attributed this to Mariko's impending departure for Osaka and the uncertainty of their future. They walked together to Toranaga's quarters, where they were to have their audience. Blackthorne was nervous, knowing that his fate hung in the balance. He had prepared himself for the encounter, determined to use all his cunning and wit to survive. As they entered the room, Toranaga greeted them with a faint smile. He seemed weary and preoccupied, but Blackthorne could still sense the daimyo's sharp intellect and unwavering power. Toranaga began by questioning Blackthorne about his inspection of the Erasmus. Blackthorne reported that the ship was seaworthy and ready to sail at a moment's notice. He also shared his plan to use the Erasmus to disrupt the Black Ship and pressure the Christian daimyos into supporting Toranaga. Toranaga listened intently, his expression unreadable. Toranaga dismissed them, and Blackthorne and Mariko walked out of the room together. As they made their way back to their quarters, Blackthorne could sense Mariko's sadness and apprehension. He wanted to comfort her, but he knew that their situation was too complicated, their future too uncertain. They parted ways, each filled with their own doubts and fears. Blackthorne speaks to Toranaga privately and asks for a favor, Mariko's divorce. Toranaga says he is not angry and will consider it, but also forbids him from mentioning it to Mariko or her husband. Blackthorne knew that he had gained Toranaga's trust and secured a chance to fulfill his ambitions. But he was surrounded by enemies, and the path ahead was fraught with danger. He had to tread carefully and play his cards right to survive. Meanwhile, Mariko was torn between her duty to Toranaga, her loyalty to her husband, and her growing feelings for Blackthorne. She knew that she had to make a choice, but she was afraid of the consequences. Blackthorne finds himself caught in a web of conflicting loyalties and desires. He is torn between his duty to his crew and his ambition to secure trade and influence in Japan. He is also falling deeply in love with Mariko, but their love is forbidden. Yabu, having witnessed Blackthorne's power and influence, seeks to use him to regain his lost province of Izu and secure his own position within Toranaga's court. He offers Blackthorne protection and assistance in Nagasaki, hoping to gain control of the lucrative trade routes and become Lord High Admiral. Mariko, through her own observations and information gleaned from Gyoko, Kiku's mentor, comes to the realization that Toranaga is playing a complex game and has no intention of surrendering to Ishido. She believes that Toranaga is using the threat of the Black Ship to force the Christian daimyos to betray Ishido and support his own bid for power. Father Alvito, initially distrustful of Blackthorne and his intentions, begins to see him as a potential tool to protect the church's interests in Japan. He is torn between his loyalty to the church and the opportunity to gain exclusive influence in Japan. Uraga, a former Jesuit acolyte and Blackthorne's loyal samurai vassal, suggests a test of faith for Blackthorne's samurai vassals. This test, involving the desecration of a Christian icon, deeply troubles Blackthorne and his crew, highlighting the cultural and religious differences that separate them. One of Blackthorne's vassals, revealed to be a Christian, attempts to assassinate him. The attempt is thwarted, and the man is killed. Yabu, seeking to regain his honor after being challenged by another Ronin, engages in a deadly duel and emerges victorious. Yabu, recognizing Blackthorne's importance to his own ambitions, offers him a partnership. He promises to help Blackthorne secure more men and attack the Black Ship, hoping to gain control of the seas and eventually betray Toranaga. Mariko, aware of Yabu's treacherous nature, warns Blackthorne to be wary of him and Uraga. She also reveals that Kiku is pregnant, and the father could be Blackthorne, Toranaga, or Omi. Gyoko, seeking to gain Mariko's help in securing Toranaga's favor, reveals valuable information about a potential plot against Kiyama, a member of the Council of Regents, and the possibility of another attempt on Blackthorne's life. She also suggests that Uraga's true allegiance may lie with his uncle, Lord Harima. Toranaga, having successfully deceived everyone into believing he intends to surrender, reveals his true plan to Hiromatsu. He intends to use the time gained to secure his position and weaken Ishido's alliances, ultimately launching a surprise attack to secure control of the empire. Blackthorne, accompanied by Yabu and Naga, sets sail for Yokohama with his crew and samurai vassals. He is filled with both anticipation and trepidation, knowing that the journey ahead is fraught with danger and uncertainty. Father Alvito, having learned of Toranaga's true plan and the threat posed by Blackthorne to the church, prays for guidance and strength. He knows that he must act to protect the church's interests, but he is unsure of what to do. Mariko, seeking to protect Blackthorne and the church, reveals Toranaga's plan to Alvito and begs him to help Toranaga and prevent perpetual war. She also confesses her own sins and asks for God's forgiveness. Blackthorne arrives at Yokohama and prepares his ship for the journey to Nagasaki. He faces a new challenge in controlling his crew and samurai vassals, who are suspicious of each other and divided by cultural and religious differences. Uraga's test of faith for Blackthorne's vassals is carried out, which reveals a Christian traitor among them. The man is killed, and Blackthorne is forced to confront the reality of the danger he is in. Book 5. Blackthorne arrives in Osaka with Vink, leaving the rest of his crew behind in Yedo. The city is recovering from a devastating typhoon, but the imposing Osaka castle remains largely untouched. Blackthorne is filled with apprehension, knowing that he is in enemy territory and that his fate is uncertain. Yabu, who accompanies Blackthorne, is secretly planning to betray Toranaga and use Blackthorne to gain power and influence. He intends to travel to Nagasaki to recruit men and attack the Black Ship, hoping to control the seas and eventually challenge Toranaga. Meanwhile, Mariko arrives in Osaka with Kiri and Lady Sasuko, Toranaga's consort. Blackthorne and Mariko share a brief but tender reunion, their growing bond threatened by the cultural and religious barriers that separate them. They are both aware of the danger they are in and the uncertainty of their future. Uraga is killed by an unknown assailant while returning from a secret mission. Blackthorne is devastated by the loss of his trusted advisor and friend. Blackthorne is summoned to Osaka Castle to attend a formal reception in honor of Lady Ochiba's birthday, who is the mother of the heir. He is presented to the Lady Ochiba and Ishido, and endures a tense exchange with Kiyama, the chief Christian daimyo. Mariko, defying Ishido's orders, announces her intention to leave Osaka with Kiri and Lady Sasuko to meet Toranaga. This act of defiance throws the castle into turmoil. Kiyama confronts Mariko, demanding an explanation for her actions. She reveals that she is following Toranaga's orders and that she believes it is her duty to free the hostages from Osaka. Kiyama, suspicious of Toranaga's motives, warns Mariko that she is playing a dangerous game. Mariko, Kiri, and Lady Sasuko prepare to leave Osaka, despite the threat of being stopped by Ishido's forces. They are joined by other samurai women who also wish to escape their confinement. As the procession attempts to leave the castle, they are met with resistance from Ishido's samurai. A bloody battle ensues, resulting in the deaths of many on both sides. Mariko, determined to fulfill her duty and protect the honor of her lord, challenges Ishido's authority and threatens to commit seppuku if she is not allowed to leave. Ishido, realizing that he is trapped and that Mariko's death would have dire consequences, reluctantly grants them permission to depart. Blackthorne, witnessing Mariko's courage and resolve, is filled with admiration and love for her. He knows that he is caught in a web of conflicting loyalties and desires, and that the path ahead is fraught with danger. As dawn approaches, a group of ninja infiltrate the Toranaga's stronghold, seeking to capture Mariko and kill Blackthorne. There is another fierce battle resulting in the deaths of many samurai and ninja. Blackthorne and Mariko narrowly escape capture, finding refuge in a secret chamber within the castle. The ninja leader, determined to complete his mission, threatens to blow up the door to the chamber. Blackthorne manages to open a side door. However, Mariko stayed behind to buy Blackthorne time. The door explodes and Mariko fades away. Old Lady Etsu, witnessing Mariko's bravery and the sacrifice of others, chooses to commit seppuku herself, attesting to the truth of Mariko's actions and accusing Ishido of treachery. Blackthorne, devastated by Mariko's death, is filled with grief and despair. He knows that he is now alone and that the future is uncertain. Yabu, having witnessed the carnage and Mariko's defiance, realizes that he has been betrayed by Ishido and that his own plans are in ruins. He is forced to confront the reality of his situation and make a difficult choice. Blackthorne and Yabu prepare to leave Osaka. The regents of Japan, including Ishido and Kiyama, meet to discuss the aftermath of the ninja attack and Mariko's death. Kiyama argues that the attack cannot be dismissed and that it was likely orchestrated by Ishido. Ishido, however, insists that the ninja were merely after loot and that Toranaga may have been behind the attack. Ochiba, the Lady of the Hair, is torn between her loyalty to Ishido and her growing doubts about his trustworthiness. She remembers the advice of a friend who urged her to trust Toranaga and consider marrying him to secure the succession for her son. Dell'Aqua, the father visitor, is informed of the regent's decision to go to war against Toranaga. He is deeply troubled by this news and fears for the future of the church in Japan. He summons Kiyama to the mission, hoping to convince him to support Toranaga and prevent further bloodshed. Blackthorne awakens from a long sleep, his hearing partially restored. He is visited by Lady Ochiba and Kiri, who inform him of Mariko's funeral. Blackthorne, despite his grief and pain, insists on attending the ceremony. At the funeral, Blackthorne witnesses the traditional samurai rituals and is deeply moved by Mariko's sacrifice. He realizes that he has lost the woman he loved and that he is now alone in a hostile land. Yabu informs Blackthorne of his plan to travel to Nagasaki to recruit men and attack the Black Ship. Blackthorne, however, insists on going to Yokohama to check on the Erasmus, fearing that his ship may be in danger. As Blackthorne and Michael, his Jesuit guide, make their way to the galley, they are intercepted by Ferriera, the Captain General of the Black Ship. Ferriera, enraged by Blackthorne's defiance and the death of his bosun, Pesaro, threatens to kill Blackthorne. However, Dell'Aqua intervenes and orders Ferriera to stand down. Dell'Aqua reveals to Blackthorne that he has received a message from Father Alvito, reporting that the Erasmus has been destroyed in a fire caused by an earthquake and tidal wave. Blackthorne, devastated by this news, refuses to believe it and accuses Ferriera and the priests of lying. Blackthorne, overcome with grief and confusion, is escorted to the galley by Ishido's men. He is reunited with Yabu, Vink, and his vassals, but he is still in shock and cannot fully comprehend what has happened. Yabu orders the captain to set sail for Nagasaki, but Blackthorne insists on going to Yokohama to confirm the fate of the Erasmus. He is torn between his duty to his crew and his desire to find out the truth about his ship. The galley departs from Osaka. Book 6. Blackthorne stood on the shore, gazing at the charred remains of his beloved Erasmus. Grief and rage battled within him. He knew the fire wasn't an accident. His ship had been sabotaged. Mariko's words echoed in his mind. Her sacrifice to save his life by sacrificing his ship. He felt adrift, his ambitions shattered, yet a flicker of hope remained. Mariko had urged him to build another ship, and Toranaga, recognizing his value, promised him the resources to do so. Blackthorne threw himself into the task, salvaging what he could from the wreck and meticulously planning the construction of a new vessel. He named it the Lady in Mariko's honor, envisioning a sleek and deadly warship that would one day carry him back to England in triumph. Meanwhile, Toranaga's power struggle with Ishido reached its climax. With the unexpected death of Jikyu, the daimyo who controlled the southern route to Osaka, that path lay open. Toranaga, defying expectations, launched a surprise attack along the Tokaido Road, led by Hiromatsu. This daring maneuver forced Ishido out of Osaka Castle, leaving him vulnerable. Yabu, however, saw an opportunity for his own gain. He planned to betray Toranaga and use Blackthorne's expertise to build a navy and control the seas. But his treachery was exposed by Omi, his nephew, and Toranaga ordered him to commit seppuku. Yabu, accepting his fate, bestowed his prized Yoshitomo sword upon Blackthorne, a final act of defiance and respect. Omi, now head of the Kasigi clan and commander of the musket regiment, was tasked with overseeing Blackthorne's shipbuilding efforts in Anjiro. Toranaga, recognizing Omi's ambition and potential threat, sought to keep him off balance. He proposed that Blackthorne marry Midori, Omi's wife, who was soon to be divorced due to his father's dying wish. This unexpected proposition left Omi reeling, forced to choose between his personal desires and his loyalty to his lord. Fujiko, Blackthorne's current consort, dutifully supported Toranaga's plan, seeing Midori as a perfect wife for her master. However, she refused to break her vow of fidelity to her deceased husband, choosing to remain Blackthorne's consort until her preordained death. She also subtly influenced Toranaga to include the port of Ito and the Yokose Spa within Blackthorne's fief, honoring Mariko's memory and ensuring the success of the new ship. Kiku, the beautiful courtesan, was distraught at the prospect of being Blackthorne's consort. However, Toranaga, recognizing her ambition and the potential danger of keeping her close, offered her a chance to become another wife to Blackthorne. This unexpected turn of events filled Kiku with renewed hope for a secure future and samurai children. As Toranaga prepared for war, he released his prized falcon, Tetsuko, into the sky, a symbolic gesture honoring Mariko's sacrifice and her quest for vengeance. He knew that his own path was fraught with danger, but he was determined to win the great game and secure the shogunate for himself and his dynasty. Blackthorne, driven by grief and ambition, worked tirelessly on his new ship. He envisioned it as a symbol of his love for Mariko and a vessel that would carry him back to England and a brighter future. He knew that he was surrounded by enemies and that the path ahead was uncertain, but he was determined to survive and achieve his goals. The book ends with Toranaga's decisive victory at the Battle of Sekigahara, securing his position as the most powerful daimyo in Japan. With Ishido defeated and the regents divided, Toranaga's path to the shogunate seemed clear. However, the future remained uncertain, with Blackthorne's ambitions and the influence of the Catholic Church still posing potential threats to Toranaga's grand plan.